Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on Storm Talk. This is Way Through News meteorologist Brian Good on a Friday. We're going to focus on the storm chances for this weekend. A lot going on. A lot of church picnics. St. Bernard's taking place as well. I'm hearing the most about right now, a lot of folks heading to. We got of course, Clip for Kids. Don G is going to be there at 4th Street Live for that to help with kids with childhood cancer. So, and a lot of you just have other activities you're going to do with the family and friends. So let's break down how this is going to play out. First off, as we always do, we start with the SPC outlooks for this afternoon. There is a marginal risk in this green shaded area. We'll look at that a little closer since it does include some of our area. The lighter green is general thunderstorms. Marginal means marginal chance at anything becoming severe. That's lower than the slight risk, which is in yellow, and then the enhanced located across areas of Nebraska. That's going to be your main show for later this afternoon tonight. Tomorrow, still out west, ahead of the main system itself. Wichita, Oklahoma City, not far from Tulsa, all the way down to the Big D, under the gun for severe weather. For us, just general thunderstorms. Then as we head into Sunday, yeah, that marginal risk is back again, but you notice the slight risk stays very close to that area of low pressure on Sunday, as the core of the strongest winds are going to arc itself right into southeast Canada. They're not going to head due east. That's good for us in avoiding the worst of that system. In the meantime, when it's not stormy the next several days, the temperature and the humidity, the big story. It's 83 degrees now in town, 82 in E-Town, 82 at Fort Knox. A little cooler to the north. We've had a shower pass through Bedford and Seymour, so it's dropped you guys down into the lower 70s in that area. Dew points, though, on the increase. We warned you about this yesterday. We had dew points in the 40s yesterday. Now it's in the 60s. You're getting back that sticky feel. And we have a heat index. It's not much of one yet, but we do have a heat index being registered at 84 degrees here in town, and about 83 is what it feels like in Jasper, and 85 into Jasper as well, and 84 at Fort Knox. All right, here is the radar, and you can see overall a mix of haze outside because that humidity is so high. Got a hazy sky overhead. Some of those cumulus clouds bubbling up in some spots. We had some across Indiana producing those downpours and thunderstorms there. We've got cumulus really begin to pop here in our southern counties. We're going to have thunderstorms blossom here soon, and you'll see on the short-range models to get a good handle on that. Even back here, south of Evansville, see this cumulus bubbling up? That's where your main storm action is going to be today. We've got a few trying to bubble up near the Ohio River. We'll see if that can grow. But overall, we're getting to the point of the day now where we're going to see more and more of these downpours pop on the radar as we head through the sunset. In the green shaded area, that is that marginal risk I was referring to. They did move it down to the Ohio River at the last update at midday today. Nothing to be too concerned about here. It's mainly just a chance for some gusty winds, a lot of lightning, heavy rain. This is not a severe weather set up here for widespread warnings and watches or anything like that, so don't get concerned. Again, the main action is going to be out to the west, as I was pointing out, in the front range of the Rockies. So let's look at the severe parameters. One thing that is really killing the idea of any severe weather, which is a good thing, is the lack of wind shear. We don't have a lot of wind aloft. We don't have a jet stream flow overhead. The best wind shear is way out here to the west, and that's where your outlooks are on the up and up out there in that area. We just don't have much wind shear here locally, and a lot of you always ask, anytime we talk about thunderstorms, are we going to see a tornado? Well, the best chance to see anything rotate, we look at the helicity here. It's about 100, 50 to 100 would be some of the values in Indiana. That could produce a gusty wind. That's why I think they're in a marginal risk, mainly for that area of Indiana. But really for tornado action, even this 200 is not that impressive into portions of Kansas. So we're not concerned about that, is my other take on that. And another way to look at this, SPC does a great chart to give you the list of parameters for the chance for tornadoes. Anytime you see this little pink line get into the red box, you got to be concerned. You see it's already to the left scale, which is 0, so no issue there. Even as we get into this area, no issue here when it comes to the scale. And the capes are only 325. The shear is only 8. Again, for a shear, we always look at about 40 or higher. It's an 8. Helicity, again, more than 300 is what we look for, 38. And then the other areas of the LCLs, we call this, is where the cloud base is about 14 meters, so 1,400 meters. So again, not a big concern. So we're not worried about this for tornadoes for today. However, there are a couple things I think that can catch your eye. One is called a downdraft cape. We look at this potential for thunderstorms because thunderstorms are heat engines. They start off as rising air, and then they develop the idea of rising and falling air. And eventually the falling air overrides the rising air, and it becomes a collapsed storm. And that's when the storm falls off the radar. So the storm builds up, and then the downdraft happens, and then eventually the cold air just suppresses the ability to go up again with the warm flow, and the storm just can't survive. It has to have both. to maintain itself. And the high winds aloft, the wind shear, can allow that balance of warm and cold to go for hours and hours and hours. That's how you get these big squall lines that go across the state, or even these big supercells. But when you don't have that vacuum, you don't have that wind shear flying overhead to help you out, there's no help from anything but the storm itself. So the cold air wins and the storm collapses. But when it collapses, when the cold air wins, it produces that gust of cool air, almost chilly in some cases, but that cool air, you feel it from the storm. That can produce some isolated cases of knocking a tree limb down. That's why we got to watch for it. But we call that the downdraft cape, and you can see that there is some elevated values in that. And that is something that is possible in some areas out of this, so I'll roll it out. The other thing we're keeping an eye on is the amount of moisture in the air. These are going to be slow-moving storms, so with the dew point on the rise, watch out for the potential for flash flooding, especially if you see a repeating action of storms in your area over a very short amount of time. A couple of short-range models. Here is the RPM showing popping up storms here for the afternoon. Again, along and south of the Ohio River is where the main concentration is, as you saw there in the visible satellite. That seems to be playing out pretty well. Otherwise, very warm, muggy outside, and then all that will fade away later tonight. As we head into the Triple R, the HRR model, HRR model, it did really good the other day. I'm picking out storm action now. It's saying the storms are on top of us right now. I think it is seeing what we were noticing on the radar, those few isolated storms moving in, so it's not entirely wrong. But I do like this model for a thunderstorm potential in the short term. And it shows the action blowing up across our southern counties, which, again, we see signs of that happening. And then it shows another wave moving in for a good chunk of us later this evening. The RPM doesn't show that at all. And I like this idea, so I think we'll keep that storm chance in through the evening. I think this model has a better idea of these impulses moving through. So, again, storm chances all the way through at least midnight, and then they'll fade away. Now let's get into the weekend. Saturday. Saturday is going to have a lot of humidity at play, and there's not going to be much of a trigger, but we call the convective temp the magic number. When the temperature hits the convective temp, that is when the ability to have thunderstorms on the radar takes place. The convective temp tomorrow is only in the upper 70s. We're going to get there fast. By midday tomorrow, we'll be at our convective temp, and look what happens. The radar just lights up like a light bright. You got storms all over the place. It looks like a massive severe weather outbreak. It's not. It's not just heavy rain, a lot of lightning. Very spotty in clusters all over the place. And that will continue all the way through the afternoon, and then eventually we'll see it fade away as we into Sunday. And then it'll be interesting to see what happens Sunday night into Monday when we see another round of storms develop ahead of the main low itself. Some of those could be gusty Sunday evening, and then those will fade away early on Monday, and then the actual cold front moves through Monday afternoon. I don't think this is going to be a strong enough front to create another round of storms in our area for Monday afternoon, but we'll watch it. I think the highest chance will be in the morning. After that, cool weather is the story. It's going to cool down next week, leading into Memorial Day weekend. It does look like we're going to warm things up just in time for Memorial Day. Although, the way it's looking, it doesn't look completely dry the entire holiday weekend. We'll worry about that later, but there are some storms to talk about, especially Sunday and Memorial Day. But it does look like it's going to be warming up at least, so we'll see how it plays out. All right, guys, sorry I rambled forever about all this, but I want to make sure that we give you all the information we possibly can to help you plan out your weekend and answer all your questions about the severity. All right, guys, have a good day. We'll see you today at 5.